From a plane crashing into a bridge to a cheetah crashing into a car, here are the 10 most breathtaking moments caught on camera. Let's start directly with the case of a woman who literally disappears in the middle of a live interview for the Danish TV channel TV2. You have to see it to believe it. Viewed more than 3 million times on social networks, this short video has caused astonishment and incomprehension of millions of internet users. Everything happens in a few seconds. The scene takes place in Copenhagen Airport, with a man in the foreground speaking to a journalist, while travelers are walking behind him, near a baggage carousel. But one phenomenon quickly caught the viewer's attention. A woman, dragging a cart full of suitcases, exchanges a few words with another woman behind her, and as soon as she has moved forward a little, her interlocutor has completely disappeared, to everyone's surprise. This sequence, which does not include any faking, was too strange not to give rise to all sorts of interpretations. But the most attentive people put forward the most plausible explanation. The woman in the cart steals her friend from the camera's field of vision because they are moving forward at the same time, and one can notice, for a fraction of a second, the feet of the eclipsed woman. Here is a misadventure that caused more fear than harm, but one that will long be remembered by the American tourist Britton Hayes. Indeed, according to his own words, the traveler experienced during a safari in Tanzania the most terrifying moments of his life. While driving quietly in his jeep, accompanied by a guide and another person, a cheetah suddenly flew into the back of the vehicle. The reckless tourist had gotten too close to a family of 3 cheetahs before one of them jumped into the vehicle, probably to make sure that the 3 adventurers were not a threat. Imagine the fright of the driver, who not only could not flee, but also could not cross the feline's gaze, nor let his fear show through since these predators perceive very well all the signs of fear and discomfort. While the tourists tried to keep their cool, the curious beast sniffed the seats, chewed the headrest, scratched the fabrics. Finally, his curiosity satisfied, the cheetah decided to leave the vehicle, to the great relief of the travelers who did not return. Admit that in his place, you would not have been capable of such self-control. Do you like this video? Then don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, so you won't miss anything in our next publications. Let's keep going. While visiting an exhibition in Taiwan, this 12-year-old boy stumbled and accidentally pierced a painting worth $1.5 million. A great moment of embarrassment for the clumsy young man, who by reflex leaned on a work by the Italian painter Porpora, dating from the 17th century, in order not to lose his balance completely. Result: a gaping hole in the middle of the painting. This one is entitled, "The Flowers," and it represents roses, tulips, sunflowers, and carnations. Fortunately, the organizers did not force the boy's family to compensate for the damage but instead turned to the insurance company. Indeed, after viewing the CCTV footage, it became clear to them that the young boy had committed a purely involuntary clumsiness. In addition, these dizzy spells, always very comical, are numerous and are the obsession of all museum curators and guards. In 2015, an article published in Le Monde even made a list of famous works that had been damaged inadvertently or by a stroke of madness. We learn that in 2006, in Cambridge, a man stumbled and broke 3-century-old Chinese vases because of his untied laces. Or that a madman deliberately pierced a painting by Claude Monet, before being sentenced to 5 years in prison. Sergei, a young Russian man who enjoys extreme acrobatics, likes to risk his life to surpass his limits. In the sequence you see here, he is standing at the top of a building in Ashdod, an Israeli city, 150 meters above the ground. A misstep is tantamount to certain death. But then, after an acrobatic jump, his foot slips on the narrow platform, yet he manages to pull himself together and keep his balance, without too much fear. In fact, you don't feel that he was scared at all. Besides, we see him laughing just afterward. It was very close for Sergei to fall to his death, but he is used to perilous feats and he prefers to laugh about them. Moreover, he says himself that he has a vision of life that encourages risk-taking, and asserts that by practicing these extreme experiences, he adopts a precept of Tibetan morality. Have you ever heard about the crash of the Transasia plane in Taiwan? Surely, because the images are as famous as they are breathtaking. The sequence was filmed from a vehicle traveling at high speed on a bridge. In the space of a few seconds, we see the plane hurtling diagonally down from the sky, cutting the width of the bridge with its wing, spraying a cab on the way, and rushing into the river. This plane, which was carrying Chinese tourists, had just taken off and was heading for islands in southeastern China. A team of rescuers, equipped with a crane, quickly went to the scene of the accident to extract the victims and pull the huge, broken aircraft up. Luckily, there were about 10 survivors who were pulled from the wreckage, but more than 40 people lost their lives. 100 rescuers, accompanied by soldiers and divers, redoubled their efforts to try to free the survivors from the icy river, and then take them to safety in lifeboats. Later, the investigation revealed that the disaster was due to the captain's error in awkwardly shutting down the engine by operating the lever on the wrong side. The Taiwanese Aviation Safety Authority reported that the same pilot, Liao Jianzong, failed a flight simulator proficiency test a year earlier and was unable to resolve an engine failure on takeoff. Before crashing, the plane had flown for only 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Since this accident, evaluations of pilot skills have become more demanding and attentive. Bears are most often seen making a mess around them, for example by overturning garbage bins, breaking car windows, or stealing food from wherever they find it. But this bear is not like the others. In these images from North America, we see a black bear showing his sense of responsibility by straightening a traffic cone on the side of a gravel road. Along the way, he notices the overturned traffic cone, straightens it up, and places it on its base, before calmly continuing on his way, with a clear conscience. In 2009, a spectacular viral video had circulated on the internet. You may remember, it showed a man in a wetsuit sliding down a water slide. When he reached the end of the slide, he was propelled 35 meters above the ground, before landing in a small children's pool, in the middle of a vast green plain. The video garnered millions of views in the weeks that followed, and reactions ranged from amazement to disbelief. One thing was certain, the feat seemed too good to be true. In your opinion, was this stunt authentic or not? Well, no. In fact, this video was an advertisement designed by Microsoft Project, and it was simply a montage. The man sliding down the slide is tied up with a rope to secure him, and the jump into the small pool was filmed separately, as the stuntman jumped from the top of a wooden ramp. Of course, none of this is reflected in the final rendering, which gives the impression that it is a single take. The directors of this scene were very successful, as the video was very well known before it was announced that it was a trick. Before we talk about the next video, let's stay on the theme of slides, and try to answer the question of the day. In which country is the longest slide in the world? A little hint, it is a country in the Far East. Think carefully, the answer will be given as usual at the end of the video. This is the kind of adventure that happens only once in a lifetime. A group of tourists drives a safari vehicle through a South African wildlife park. At first enthusiastic at the sight of a family of lions basking on the side of the road, their joy quickly turns into nervousness. Indeed, one of the lions, the most curious of the band, decides to approach the vehicle, and to everyone's amazement, he opens the rear door with his jaw.
I know! There's a locked door. Oh my gosh, I didn't know they could do that.
The passengers couldn't believe it. This is all the more surprising since guided safaris are often done with vehicles with sunroofs, and the lions always stay away. Obviously, this lion was not malicious, and curiosity seems to be its only motive. The passengers then followed to the letter the recommendations of the guides in such a situation. Indeed, they believe that passengers have nothing to fear if they remain quiet and discreet, to the point of blending into the scenery because lions do not spontaneously distinguish between the vehicle and the people on board. It should be added that in the animal parks of Africa, a good part of the lions remains distant from humans, although it sometimes happens to see some of them in which the fear of the humans has overcome thanks to the perpetual contacts. How to explain the unusual behavior of this lion? Perhaps it is because the vehicle was not very high, and that it arrived precisely at the height of the feline. We let you form your own opinion on this. For skiers, it is already very complicated to conclude a jump in beauty, but this young 19-years-old Norwegian does much better, performing this elegant and perfect stunt. He may be young, but Johan Berg is extremely talented, as this beautifully executed jump shows, during which he even allows himself to give a high five to his friend Alex Ordal. Once the exploit is achieved, he laughs and applauds while the young Norwegian continues his descent. This sequence was filmed in Austria, during the Stubai Glacier Prime Park sessions. A native of Oslo, the capital of Norway, Berg began his career at the age of 11 and was Norwegian champion for 2 consecutive years, in 2010 and 2011, before competing at the international level. In any case, this epic high five will remain one of the most stylish moments of his career. How strong is a freshly built glass bridge? To answer this question, the authorities did not go out of their way to answer it. In the Chinese province of Hunan, in 2016, the authorities in charge of the operation ran a 2-ton truck over a glass bridge linking 2 steep cliffs to test its solidity before its inauguration. The bridge, raised 300 meters above the ground, is 430 meters long, and its solidity impresses as much as its dimensions. The Chinese authorities did not only pass a heavyweight over this imposing construction, but they also asked volunteers to try to break the glass with hammers. An all-terrain vehicle carrying 11 passengers also took part. And the result was always the same. The structure held together, although the surface of the glass was slightly cracked. The Zhangjiajie Bridge, commissioned in 2016, is however reserved for pedestrians. This spectacular advertisement was a very good idea since many curious people came to attend this unusual event. What's more, the bridge, which was designed to be visited by 8,000 people a day, would have received 10 times as many visitors daily. The attendance was so high that the authorities had to close the access to the bridge only 13 days after its opening, to reinforce it. It was reopened on September 30, 2016. Voila! That's the end of the video. So, which one of these sequences seemed the most incredible to you? For the question of the day, congratulations if you found the right answer. According to the Guinness Book of Records, the longest slide ever built is in Malaysia, on the island of Penang. It is 70 meters high, 1 kilometer long, and has 20 bends. And the descent takes 4 minutes and a half. Yes, that much.